Hey everybody, it's Aslan Hajivandi, joined by Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Look what's written beneath Michael Langston, everybody. You can sign up for Warchant.com for 50% off for an entire year. It's like $49.99 for an entire year. It's crazy. Or if you just want to get your beak wet, you can sign up for $1. That'll take you all the way from now up until kickoff. But the season's going to be awesome. You're going to want the whole entire year. Trust me. If they're not going to sign up, Michael, which I don't understand why they wouldn't, what can they do to show some support in the meantime?
Well, certainly hit the like button for us. That it certainly helps these kind of videos promote it, and we want you to sign up. It's one of the best deals you can find. But certainly hit the like button. It's free. It's easy. So do it. It's awesome, and that's my only request. So certainly we'll keep these videos rolling, but we want to just keep promoting them the right way. And so hit that like button for us.
This should be part of the Wake Up War Chant podcast, but again, we'll see if we can get it in there. There's stuff going on over here at the Midtown offices that you guys don't need to know about. Anyhow, Michael, let's start this off, man. 6 dudes on campus this weekend. Big weekend as we get this month of June started. Position of need, linebacker feels like Groundhog Day. We've been probably saying that, introducing every recruiting video for the last 5 years that we've been doing this together. Edwin Spillman on campus. How big of a sort of moment was this in the recruitment, do you think, of Spillman this week and him being in Tallahassee?
I think it's a big deal for them getting him back on campus, kind of seeing I mean, he's had a really good communication relationship with FSU through the process. He visited early in the spring, but he hasn't seen like the real in-depth stuff. So for him to see it today, be around, Randy Shannon, Mike Norvell, and Adam Fuller, and just be around those guys and see what it's like and see what the interaction with the players. I think was a big hit with Edwin, and I think also just what they're going to do and the need they have at linebacker. I think Edwin said today, and you can read the story on the front page that it's a big deal to him for teams that do need linebackers the way FSU covets them. So he sees the opportunity to play there, but he also sees just how comfortable he is with this program and just how comfortable he is with Coach Sheehan. That's the thing. Big takeaway I had was he really you could really see the strength of that relationship with Coach Shanahan. There was certainly a close connection, and certainly said FSU is one of his top schools, and you could did really tell that FSU moved the needle in this official visit, and certainly they are definitely one of the teams right near the top, for Edwin after this official visit.
How good is this guy, man? I know he's got the 4 stars by his name, but I feel like this is a guy that you like a lot, Michael.
I like him a lot. I think he's the top target that they have at linebacker. It's a guy that can tackle really good in space, runs really well, laterally downfield runner, closes on the ball, and he's a big hitter. So I think that's some of the things that FSU certainly covets about him. And then see him in person. I mean, he matches the. Sometimes you don't have guys that match the height and weight with a guy that comes on campus, but for Edwin, he was very filled out, the height and weight checked out, and just really a guy that I think could really help them early on into a season to have an early impact because physically he's already ready. I think for the college to play at college level, and then technique wise, I think certainly he's going to be able to flash in your system if you get a guy that gets off blocks as quickly and as well as what Edwin does. There's still stuff to improve with his game, like cover skills and stuff like that. But when you talk about tackling in space and downhill runner and finishing hits, I think Edwin's checks off every box that FSU would want at that linebacker position.
Heck yeah, man. I don't know if this is being cocky. Offensive line, offensive tackle, maybe not a position of need as it was at least in years prior. But Nair Daniels out of Bergen Catholic up there in Jersey, heck of a
Yep.
great program up there.
Yeah.
He visited. Just how big of a move could that be in him and Alex Atkins forging a relationship moving into the future, Michael?
Yeah, I felt like Penn State was for me the favorite coming in, and then once he left, and then getting the intel and gathering the intel I have so far, I'm still going to gather more. But I think FSU's right either even or slightly above Penn State now, just because of that visit, the connection with Atkins, as it usually is on these visits. He nailed it as far as just that relationship and just I think Nair seeing the kind of development that they do, even with the young guys and some transfers, and seeing how quickly these guys are adjusting to the system of what Atkins is doing, I think is a big deal, and really resonated and hit hard and hit very well on this visit for Daniel. So I think they hit on everything. I think FSU is looking, which is relationships, and does this kid fit everything that we want in this program? And I think as a guard, which that's where I like Nair at the most, is the guard position. I think he's more so a guard than tackle to me when I watch his film, but mean street guy, finishes very well when you watch a lot of his blocks. Very good run blocker. You can see a lot of these clips, just the way he just destroys guys as far as in run blocks, and really just drives them out of the play. So I think he's a guy that they like a lot, and it showed the way how much they coveted him this weekend. And I think the feeling and the interest was reciprocated back this weekend of just how well and how comfortable Nair was throughout the whole weekend. So I think certainly is a big step, and I think they set the bar as far as these officials. So I think this is probably his first one, and I think it really set the bar as far as what teams are going to have to do to match what FSU did. They did a lot of unique stuff of not just a lot of it was just outside of football where there was a connection to the people at FSU personally, and I think that's a big deal to a guy like Nair. Everyone knows he's talented, but what are you going to do as far as when things aren't good? And I think he felt very comfortable with everything that he saw at FSU throughout the weekend.
Bro, he is listed in the database at 6'7.5". So let's not chintz him on that half inch.
Yeah,
6'7.5", 371 pounds. How did he look in person, Michael?
massive. He is a massive kid.
Uh,
Um, now maybe he ends up playing tackle, but I probably the length and the height leads you to believe maybe tackle, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, wasn't really specified to the position yet, but a lot of times this isn't done with Atkins until later on when they get into the meat of stuff. But he's a massive kid. I mean, you see him in person, but it's not like a lot of fat. It's just a big kid. He's a very big kid, and certainly seems to be holding his weight pretty well. I'm sure Atkins would want him to trim down a little bit, but even though he is a big kid, but yeah, the weight, the height and weight certainly seem to check out from what I was seeing.
Probably be a really good luxury if you're a running back. If a guy like Nair were to come to Florida State. Running backs, legacies on campus. Christian Clark, big sort of lead, at least in the RPM when it comes to Texas. How much
Yes.
ground do you think Florida State gained in the recruitment of the four-star running back, 5'11", 195 out of Phoenix?
I mean, he said all the right things, and you could tell the impact that this visit had. You talked about the development of David Johnson, which I wanted to hear more about because he's talked about that with Texas, and he really reiterated how the way David Johnson treats his running backs, of the discipline that they do, both on and off the field, what he's doing with backs where they're averaging 6 yards of carries, and the way they want to use him, which is they want to use him just everywhere, both at running back, but some at the slot, just kind of just a Swift Army knife where they can use him all over the place. They feel like he's that type of player for them if you were to come to FSU. So he said a lot of the right things. I want to see kind of how he feels a little bit, maybe a week after this visit because it's the first one. But certainly everything he said was pretty positive. Certainly a positive takeaway. I think FSU did move up as far as where they were trending. I still would lean toward Texas until I hear a little bit more, but I think they definitely are now pretty high up there with the Longhorns, and certainly a school that he feels comfortable that what they're going to do rushing the football. He feels comfortable around Norvell. He feels comfortable around the campus. It's clear he loves it and connects with the people and the type of city that Tallahassee is. I think that really resonates with him. It fits him very well. So we now have to see if this feeling lingers or if it's something where you're coming off a high of a visit. But right now I feel like they're very much in the mix. They have a shot, and that's the best thing I could say about that recruitment right now.
My goodness, he's got some pretty solid tape. Look up
Yeah.
his huddle, everybody. Look at the cut he does at the 40-second mark. It's pretty nasty. Pretty
Yeah, and
nasty.
somebody was asking me too, like if they had a chance to get Micaiah Danzy and they got and Christian Clark both wanted to commit, what would they do? I think they would take both of them. So
Mhm.
I think they would take both for those that are wondering. But certainly a guy they've covered, and the relationships communication has been very strong, even leading up to this official visit. So they have been very much in it, and I think this visit was more to solidify what the program is to Christian, and also the way he's going to be utilized in their offense. I think that it took a big boost up from what it was for last time. It was more like getting to know these guys, what they're like, and just seeing kind of the ins and outs of the program more so. This is more diving deeper in where you get the specifics of what they're going to use him in different sets and different works and also just seeing what these coaches are around their players on a daily basis. I don't think he really experienced too much of that, and I think all these things were highly impressed by Clark, and I think they did a great job. And like I said, I think they're very much high in the picture now for Clark.
All name team. We go down to the boot. Wardell Mack feels like a guy you want on your defense, man. 6 foot, 170, 6 foot and a half. Don't want to shortchange our guy out of John Ehret High School down there in the boot. 170 pounds, 4-star defensive back.
Hmm.
The folks that are listening to this maybe on the podcast can't see LSU 95.4%
Yeah,
RPM. But I mean, I don't know. I think at some point, our guy down there in Sarasota, that incredibly talented defensive back, like Alabama was in the lead, and Florida State made up some huge ground. So don't get too sad, everybody. Did his eyes open up to what the possibilities could be in Tallahassee if he were to leave the boot there, Michael?
this visit, I'll be honest, it really surprised me how much he liked it, and this is both after what Wardell told me in the interview, and then two, some stuff when I checked from my FSU intel, what they are. I know it says 95% guys, but they are very much a threat in this recruitment. Now, I'll believe it when I see it because I'm skeptical when it comes to DBs, that LSU recruits that are from the boot. But I think they made a big move. I think they made a big move here, and I think there's a lot of things to have here. One, there's a lot of kids that are on this team that he's tight with, that he knows, like Destin Hill, Greedy Vance. I'm sure he probably knows Keon Coleman, who's also from Louisiana, although he told me he mainly hung out with Hill and Greedy Vance. But the familiarity and being comfortable with that. And then the other thing is he's very tight with Sertain. Sertain's obviously from New Orleans. That's where he's born and raised. So I think there's a great connection with a lot of different people there. And I think too, just he loves the brotherhood that he sees at FSU, and he sees what these guys, the way they work, every day, the way they work, and they want to be a top team, and they're not there yet, but he sees what they're doing, and I think he's very excited about what they're building at FSU, and that really resonated with him. And not every kid just wants to go to Alabama or LSU or Georgia and just be a part of a elite team. Some guys, can it resonates more with guys that can see a team building towards that top 10 and top 5 status. And I think FSU made probably a little bit of surprising bigger move than I thought as far as in this recruitment, and I think they're certainly a threat in this race. Now it's not going to be easy because this is just the first official visit, but goes back to what I said earlier with the first official visitor is, when you set the bar, I think on official visits, I think you either want to be the first visit or the last one. If you're first, you could set the bar, and sometimes people just cannot match what you did, as far as the rest of the visits, because all of them are kind of familiar and seem the same, because you're getting wined and dined, you're doing all these things, you're seeing nice facilities. But when you set the tone of stuff outside of football, that's something that somebody's going to have to match with FSU, and I think they nailed it this weekend. That doesn't mean they're going to get them, but I think they nailed it, and it went a little bit, probably considerably higher than the impressions of what I thought would be coming out of this visit.
Hey, man, it's all you can really ask for when you're going up against a
Yep.
kid that's in Louisiana, and LSU is always heavily involved in the mix. That was 4 guys. There was 6 official visits. Red Morgan, Jaquavius, and Marshall. They can find that all over on the PRB, I would assume, Michael. You want to leave some meat on the bone, just maybe throw in just a nugget or 2 on those guys, and so that we don't give the entire milk away for free.
Yeah, I would say Jaquavius is. I would just say that it looks like FSU's in a good spot there after this visit. I will leave it at that. The other one you can read on. Both of them, I think, certainly there's interest. Now, will they push with everything they have? Not sure yet on Marshall, but I'd say with Morgan, I could see I see a strength of how much they covet him. So but I will have a wrap on all these guys a little bit later. I'm going to do a little more, make few more phone calls, make sure I get everything lined up the way I want it, and then I'll give a wrap on all 6 of these guys. And then certainly we start camp week this week. I think there's going to be some big visitors over there. Landon Thomas is going to be back on campus. Could be a few more that I'm waiting to confirm that will be on campus that aren't committed that are certainly what I consider the elite of the elite. So I'm just waiting to confirm a few names. So we'll have that coming up. So that's what's coming up on Warchant. By the way, if you haven't seen it, go to Warchant today, guys. All 6 official visitors, I think we have updates on and features on. So you want to check that out. It's a lot of good stuff on there, and I'll have more later with a wrap.
$1 from now up until kickoff, or 50% off for an entire year. We're giving you options. We're giving you value. It's all over warchant.com. Michael with up to the second, up to the minute updates, along with Matt Lacer over on the premium recruiting board. You know you want it. Treat yourself. Michael, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it.
You got it.